Hi, I'm Mike Miller. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for watching. My guest today, this will be my very first comedian on one of the shows, and I'm honored to have Nicholas Haddox. Nicholas, appreciate you being here.
Yeah, appreciate you.
And I've been seeing you around the last few years at the open mics. You show up and get up there and do your stand-up bit. And
Yeah, I try to be regular at the various open mics. It's good practice. It's kind of what you have to do in order to write material and get used to performing in front of an audience. So.
Yeah. Abbey Underground, you've worked there quite a bit.
Been there quite a bit. I was one of the first comedians to be able to play that stage. And
Really?
Yeah. And then sort of started a trend going with getting, like, because just word spread that, okay, they're letting comedians in.
Yeah. Other people saw you doing it and they wanted to give it a try too.
Yeah, they wanted to give it a try, or they'd been going to other open mics and just the word got out that Abbey was finally okay with having comedians, so
yeah,
comedians came out.
And I saw you at Two Charlies too, I think.
I did Two Charlies for a while when Bone Doggy was running that. I guess that open mic, I don't know, I guess the traffic wasn't coming in as far as musicians and comedians to keep it going. I don't know what happened to it, but
yeah,
I was doing Two Charlies there for a minute. Just any stage, I guess, I'll perform in.
You did Muddy Jake's the other night.
That was at Muddy Jake's, yeah.
Audacity, you've been working over there some.
Audacity, there's open mic at the White House.
The White House.
That's really comedian friendly, and comedians have kind of co-opted
really?
quite a bit.
What night is that?
That's on Thursday nights.
Thursday
also.
night, yeah. What time does that start?
It starts at, it's got about the same sign-up time as Audacity. It's 6:30 sign-up, 7:30 show. And it's like 7:30 to 10.
I was over there one night for a musician open mic, and it was just packed.
Yeah, they. I mean, they have musicians on, and like it's just a general open mic. It's just a lot of the comedians. There's sort of a camaraderie, so everybody kind of goes there.
Yeah.
It's one of the first mics that's actually hosted by comedians, and
oh, really?
The White House is really supportive of the comedy scene in Denton, so that does help us out quite a bit.
Is Andy's a place too where you've?
Andy's, yeah, I've been going to the Andy's open mic. They typically want comedy only sort of in the first hour because it's more of a music venue.
Yeah.
And as I've heard, you have to be engaging, or you have to really be able to work the crowd. And it's kind of a rowdy crowd, but it's really fun. It's a lot of fun working Andy's. Yeah, it's just good practice to get in front of all kinds of audiences.
Yeah, that's for sure. What inspires you to write material generally?
It's a combination of different things. I've written a lot of material just about things that have happened to me in my own life and my own experiences. I try to stay away from topical stuff because it has kind of a shelf life, unless I can make it something more universal, not like the immediate, like celebrity did something of the day thing, but like a sort of overarching narrative is kind of more what I like to focus on, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think some celebrities get too much press?
It's kind of hard to say, because I guess as performers we're sort of in the business of trying to constantly get attention and constantly get people to follow and endorse and things like that. So it's, if these celebrities are paying for their publicists or they're constantly in the media, they're technically doing their job.
Yeah.
So I just personally don't care most of the time when it's like such and such, like the donut or whatever. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my life in any way. So I try to steer away from that. It's too easy, a punchline, I guess.
I almost forgot that wealthy people can have publicity agents.
Oh, that's
just planning for them.
Yeah, that is sort of the name of the game, is having some kind of like team around you. Yeah. And some kind of. A lot of people don't like the idea of, I guess, performance art as some form of capitalism, but it kind of is in some way, and there is some degree of marketing or self-promotion in doing this. Yeah.
A lot of sports figures get so much press, I guess, just because of the.
Because they're in the limelight, their whole job is they're performers. It's just another form of performance, I guess.
Yeah. As far as comedians, who are some of your influences, do you think?
I like Christopher Titus. I like Bill Burr. I like Gabriel Iglesias. Steve Byrne. there's a bunch of different comedians. I like comedians with self-deprecating senses of humor. I know Woody Allen, in his later years, is kind of a controversial figure, but his stand-up is pretty clever. Just Charlie Chaplin. It's a range of different comedians and different styles, but usually the ones that are self-deprecating or have something to say about society, I really like.
Yeah. You think that's a powerful thing, the self-deprecation?
You kind of have to, just from my own personal experience, you have to be able to see the absurdity in things. And so if you're going to be a performer on stage and typically all you have is a mic and you're trying to make people laugh with just your voice and your actions, you have to be able to make something either relatable or absurd. And an easy way to make yourself relatable is to kind of humiliate yourself or to point out, I guess, your flaws or your, I guess, things that people can relate to that they also, I don't know, may feel a sense of, I guess I want to say humility.
Yeah. Has comedy always been like that, do you think? Or has that evolved?
Well, even now,
like Woody Allen, he goes back pretty far, I guess. But
but some of his jokes are very much kind of about, he's made a whole shtick about, in his movies and his comedy, about being like this awkward kind of misfit character, and he's always sort of, that's kind of his thing, is that he's awkward, and he's, it's like flamboyantly, I don't know, there's sort of, I guess there's an arrogance in being able to humiliate yourself. Like there's a joke where he was, like he was trying to talk a girl into like posing as a nude model, and he like said, I used plenty of art terms like brush and smock, and then I started painting on her and she stormed out. It's sort of the gist of that. So he's making it a point that he's being silly. It's absurd. It's not meant to be taken seriously, I guess. And that works for comedy, I think. It's not to. One of the things that'll see new comics do is some of them will come out of the gate trying to like attack the audience, or I don't know. It's like it's offensive, but it's not offensive enough to be absurd, or it doesn't draw on some bigger sort of message or meaning. And I think that
create
can be
tension,
like it creates tension, but it doesn't have a payoff. And I think one of the problems now that a lot of comedians face is that we're sort of in an era of like what they say is PC, but it's where nobody can really be offended anymore, or that nobody will question themselves, or nobody I don't know, it's hard to define it exactly, but people, they seek escapism, I think. They seek escape from all their daily trials and tribulations. So a lot of the music is very much about like being happy and everybody conforming and everybody getting along. And so I think a lot of people expect that of comedy, and they see things on the internet like Facebook is just pictures of nostalgia and like a funny face with a left turn caption and things like that. So people want to seek escapism, and when comedians come out of the gate saying something that's offensive or that draws them back to the reality of that life can be harsh, they won't respond well to it, I think. But at the same time, you kind of have to offend people sometimes. You have within good taste, I guess.
Well, we were talking about George Carlin a little earlier. Was he a comedian that you liked?
I liked Carlin. I liked his material. He has sort of that cadence and that structure where it's kind of a slow build, and he's like, it's kind of heavy-handed, his opinions, but he's just very much like pointing out these cadences, and he's very much a theatrical kind of performer. Like is he doesn't just stand in one place. He's constantly sort of moving around. And
walking around, yeah.
He's walking around like Lewis Black's material, where he's very slow, and then he builds, and then he builds, and he like ends on a yell, and it's sort of like there's that sort of catharsis to that.
Climax, yeah.
Yeah, that climax to it.
Do you like Ellen?
I've seen some of her stuff. I can't really say that I've seen enough to have an opinion one way or another. I don't know, because I know she's mostly doing the talk show circuit and all that. And I've seen, I don't know, I don't know that much enough to have like an opinion either way.
Well, that's okay. I know you can't be aware of everybody. There's so many out there these days.
So many comedians, and there's the ones that do get famous. I will admit, it is predominantly still a kind of masculine thing. Like, it's very much sort of a boys' club, and it's kind of interesting that comedy is constantly kind of being dominated by the awkward, mostly white male voice. Is still usually like there's just a ton of them at every comedy club, at every little open mic and things like that, and that's an interesting.
More guys show up and want to do it.
More guys show up and want to do it. And
Joan Rivers was good too, though. I
yeah,
thought.
Joan Rivers was good. You know, it's a shame about her. I had heard some kind of interview recently where they were saying that she had like drawers and drawers of Liz Taylor jokes. Like, somehow they got into a spat, and Joan Rivers would go on and on and on, just
really
ripping into Liz Taylor. And it's really pretty cruel. And that's one of the things I've never learned, or that I've never learned, that I have learned, is even from my own personal experience with how I write, it's a little too easy to be cruel as a comedian, but you should never upset another comedian, or they, like, I guess since we've spent, a lot of comedians have had personal troubles, or
get into spats with people,
or been
conflicts.
bullied, and we get into spats and we get into conflicts. And so as a writing exercise, you kind of learn to find people's insecurities and things like that. And so if somebody does get on the wrong side of you, it is really easy to just get them where it hurts and just keep going. And it's cheap comedy, but it becomes kind of second nature sometimes, I think, for some comedians.
And sometimes it gets good laughs, I guess.
It gets good laughs if you can, once again, if you can bring it back to being somewhat absurd and not just like, I'm gonna pick on this person. Like, it has to have a point. And I guess that's why celebrities are easiest, because they're relatable, as opposed to doing like an esoteric sort of joke about somebody only you and your friends know.
Yeah. I guess comedians, I mean, comedy is not something you necessarily study in junior high or high school, whereas musicians can be in the band or choir, you know.
Yeah, that's, well...
You have to teach yourself, I guess.
You can study aspects of, like, theater and performance, and I know comedians who swear by the idea that, like, there is a way to be funny, or that there... It can be very political at times, which is interesting, because comedians will say, well, that's not funny, because this is the way you're supposed to do this, this, and this. And it does help to have some background in theater or acting, I think, or performance, to be a comedian. But to get any joke down, you have to constantly keep workshopping the same idea. And you have to... At some point, you can admit defeat if the joke doesn't work, but you have to be able to write and perform well in front of an audience, I think.
And remember the sequence of your jokes or whatever, situations. Do you think any certain groups in America these days have lost some freedom of speech, possibly?
I wouldn't say necessarily that anyone has lost freedom of speech. As a comedian, I personally won't shy away from any topic unless there is a reason to. And the thing is that you don't necessarily lose freedom of speech, but you have to sort of work within the boundaries of the zeitgeist and within good taste. And you have to, like, because times are changing and because there are more voices and there are differing opinions on things. And you have to, and because everything kind of revolves around marketability, whether or not anybody wants to admit that, you do have to consider the ramifications of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it has to have a point. Like there's people who believe that you should be able to draw the Prophet Muhammad because that's freedom of speech. But the thing is that there's people who will defend their belief that you shouldn't draw a picture of a guy and call it the divine Prophet Muhammad by blowing things up and by killing. And that's one of those things where it's not a loss of freedom of speech to not do that. It's just within the boundaries of good taste. It's within the boundaries of knowing that this is something that's held sacred to people. Like there's people who will escalate. There's people who are willing to die for certain things. And you can have all the free speech you want, but you'll get people killed.
Yeah.
And so I don't think anybody is really losing any kind of freedom of speech. It's just that now we're seeing people getting checked to an extent where they're publicly shamed and yada yada yada. But it's also this sort of media culture of if it bleeds, it leads. So if we can like shame somebody or martyr somebody for something insensitive or stupid that they said, they'll do it, and it'll ruin somebody's life. But that's not freedom of speech hasn't been impeded in any way. It's just there are consequences, and we're starting to see that now.
Yeah. Well, Nicholas, I appreciate you coming down. I'm going to get out of the way, and you guys stay tuned and check out Nicholas Haddox doing some stand-up. And thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank all two of you for coming. This is delightfully familiar. It's a typical night in North Texas open mic when comedians take the stage. Everybody's just like, yeah, leave. Well, I'm kind of an awkward guy, as you might have guessed. I got my first kiss at the tender age of 17. 7, that's cute. Teen, that explains everything. Keep him away from the middle schools. No, it was awesome because we were sitting in a car in a parking lot on a rainy night, and everybody gets hot and bothered on rainy nights, and we just got through eating Taco Bell, and like rainy night plus Taco Bell equals aphrodisiac, and so like we can go through the whole thing, and then I get done and I'm in that first post makeout awesomeness zone where I'm like, everything is in alignment right now, and I look out the window, and standing in the rain is Captain Planet. The Ted Turner, the kid's like environmental hero. In the theme music, they say, Captain Planet, he's a hero, gonna take pollution down to zero. What they don't say in the theme music is Captain Planet, he's a voyeur. It's kind of sad. But he's like, the power is yours, and I'm like, yes, Captain Planet. And I look over at her, and she's getting teary-eyed and emotional. And she says, and I think she's going to say, love you. And I'm like, yes, I love you too. She's like, feel awkward, take me home. I'm like, oh, we're not having the same conversation. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yeah, I've had an interesting life. I've had a very Benjamin Button kind of lifestyle. I released records on iTunes. I graduated from college. I partied like I just got out of high school. I got a job I could have gotten fresh out of high school. Now I'm here. And but yeah, it's been interesting. When I was at work, when I was at my current part-time job, I work for a company that does things involving vehicles. I can't say things for legal reasons, but I was scrubbing off a vehicle, and this chunk of broom handle broke off in my hand. And the proper response, apparently, to an employee being in shock and with a chunk of broom handle in his hand is, treat it yourself. So after months and months of haggling with the insurance company, I got to have workers' compensation-related surgery, which involved a hand doctor. Like, he was a brilliant hand surgeon, so he had no bedside manner by this time. He just, he comes walking in there, he's like, yeah, we got to fix that or you're going to be an amputee. Good luck. And I didn't know anybody who could be there for me to be knocked out, so I elected to do surgery where I was awake, and that was a fun experience because you don't know how terrifying it is to see a room full of medical professionals freak out. Because, like, everybody's like, how's it going, buddy? How's it going? I'm like, yeah, we're doing local anesthetic. They're like, we're doing. And they'd, like, leave and go out and argue in the hallway. And then they'd come back. Like, the anesthesiologist, he's happy. He's like, how much does he weigh? How tall is he? You're going night night, buddy. I'm like, that's kind of cryptic. But they wheel me in. They put my through this, like, blast shield and put on this robo tourniquet. And the local anesthetic is lidocaine, and I'm bad with needles, and I know they're getting ready to stick me. They're like, all right, we're getting ready, and there's a dude playing rodeo clown on this side of me, just trying to distract me, and, like, they're saying, okay, we're gonna get ready, and then somebody just shouts out, hey, injection, and the medical procedure for him was to look up at them, look down at me, and just clamp his whole body weight down on me, so I couldn't have second thoughts, I guess. They just start sticking me with the lidocaine, and they go through the surgery, and they had to do a skin graft. And I thought, like, this is 2013. There's got to be some kind of, like, a skin glue or something like that. You never want to hear a doctor utter the phrase, hey, hand me that stapler. In my blood loss addled brain, I actually shouted out, hey, do I have to fill out more paperwork? What you stapling? Yes, indeed. I don't know. Well, I got a small bit that I've got about my unpopular opinion right now. It's an unpopular opinion among people my age is I got nothing against cops and everybody. I get a lot of boos at this point. Not like the cops on a power trip, like the ones that just get up every day and they put on their uniform and they have to deal with crazy people all the time because nobody is excited to see the cops. Nobody's just like, oh yeah, I'll pay the speeding ticket. Thank you, I will slow down. Thank you for stopping me from robbing the 7-Eleven. Granted, you're the only thing between me and freedom right now, but thanks, I'll go quietly. I've never heard anybody my age go, man, the party was all right until the cops showed up and then it was awesome. They brought 2 kegs of their homemade Flash Bomb IPA. Brought a troupe of exotic dancers. Usually it's like, dude, the cops showed up and they took our kegs and exotic dancers. But you have to understand, no cop ever has gotten on the radio and been like, all units, free pizza day, free mental health evaluations. It's just usually like, all units, the place that catered our company picnic, it's burning to the ground. Take a moment to reflect upon whatever deity you believe in before you take your life into your own hands. And then we wonder why they go flying off the rails. As not to discount the actual tragedies that do occur, but nobody wins when you antagonize cops. People tell me, like, then you're pro-military police state. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm pro not getting shot by or tased or bruised by the guy with the utility belt full of things that can do that to me, and a judge and a DA who could be like, yeah, it was justified. Because I don't know. We live in an interesting system. We live in where we have a 15-year-old farm boy who is polling higher than most of the Republican primary candidates. It makes me afraid of the next election, I guess. Where should I go? I'm trying to think of clean material because most of the stuff I've been doing lately is... This is how open mics go, by the way, is that you kind of have to recall FCC-friendly material. I was dating a girl for a while, and we broke up. Or at least I thought we broke up, because I remember specifically it was a clean breakup. Like, we were talking and we were arguing and we were both unhappy and we were just like, no, okay, I love you. See you later. Bye. Click. And that was the breakup conversation. And now we hang out all the time. And she's my best friend. We talk, but we don't eat meals together and we don't share the same bed. So we're together constantly, but we don't eat meals together, and we don't we don't go to sleep together. And we got into an argument the other day, and I found myself creating a profile on Ashley Madison, and then I found out that she had already had one, and so I got into an argument about that and lost again. So I thought we broke up, but it turns out I just skipped ahead to 20 years of marriage. But yeah. Suppose I'll end on this. I don't want to go too controversial, but I can't do drugs. I'm too old. I'm 27. I never started. I never started when I was younger because I got to see what it did to everybody else, and that also usually gets booze, or people always say, it's never too late to start. And I always wish I was a cop because I could be like, Tango, this is Foxtrot, we got him. But people always like, it's never too late to start. I'm like, yeah, it is. I don't know the lingo. I don't know what to do with it. Somebody was saying like, hey man, I got like an eighth for the price of a fourth. I'm like, that doesn't sound like math. I don't know how to do it, because like I drink beer, and you can go to a place and buy the beer, and they pay like taxes on the beer, and it tells you how much alcohol is in the beer, and it's like state sanctioned. As far as I understand, when it comes to buying anything else, you have to know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and you got to go to a house. And for some reason, they want you to hold a gun, but they don't want to touch the gun. And they have a scale, and you got to get a scale, and you got to calibrate it, and you got to learn the metric system, which I'm just not going to learn the metric system. I'm American. I find it interesting that as a nation, we developed our own system of mathematics to combat the metric system, and we called it standard. But yeah, I don't want to do it. I'm too old, and at the same time, I'm too young, because hopefully, if this takes off or whatever, when I'm like 90 and I have Alzheimer's and I'm in a wheelchair, oh yeah, I'm totally going to be on everything, because I'll be 90 and in a wheelchair, and I will have forgotten all the stuff that I did. Like, nobody's going to be like, it was tragic, he OD'd at 90. They're going to be like, oh, he's partying now. Going to be hallucinating grandkids I never had. They're going to be like, you need to stop doing LSD and crystal meth, Grandpa. We exist. And I'm going to be like, the Kaiser's after me. This is awesome. But yeah, I don't condone any of that kind of behavior. I really don't, and it bumps people out. My birthday is a popular holiday, 420, and I hang out with artists and comedians and musicians, so I never get happy birthday. They just get to happy and then kind of trail off. It's just happy, yeah. But then also April 20th is a day of multiple national tragedies, including Columbine, is the day after Waco, it's Hitler's birthday, it's a bunch of stuff. And so I always know that one person who doesn't do any illicit activities, and they call me up and they're like, happy Columbine Waco Day, Hitler, way to poison the Gulf Coast. I'm like, thanks, Mom. It's really great to hear from you too. Yeah, I don't know where to go from there. Yeah, this is really hard. I need to awkward pauses, the comedy show. But yeah, another thing that I know is kind of unpopular here in the South that I'm for is gun control. And when I say gun control, I'm not for taking guns out of the hands of the hobbyists. I'm for keeping them out of the hands of the crazy people like me. And you know, because I just don't want to have guns. I don't think I want to touch it. I've never seen a point, and I love it when people are like, the government's going to come and take our guns away. I'm like, dude, you have a gun. Just shoot at them. What are you expecting? Some guy with like a big blue tote walking up the driveway. Hey, we're here to hostilely take your weapons. Surrender, please. And I don't get it. Like, I don't get the people who say like a gun is a tool. It is a tool. I'm like, I've never seen any kind of home repair project done with a gun. At best, it's a really inaccurate hole punch. Like, I'm gonna hang up pictures with my stud finder. I'm going to fix the leak in this pipe. Ding, ding. Oh, God, it hit me. Oh, I got to fix this hole with this gun. I don't get it. And I did that joke on stage, and somebody stopped me afterwards. It was like a host, and he got up, and he's like, a gun is a tool for possum removal. And I was like, possum removal, what on earth? And then like that night, I went to bed and I woke up. Like I was startled awake at 3 in the morning, and there were 8 possums standing around my bed, and one of the possums just grabbed a pillow and shoved it over my face while the other 7 just wailed on me, and they stole my wallet. I crawled into the bathroom, bloody, battered, trying to clean myself up. There were 2 other possums waiting in the shower, and they jumped out of the shower, beat the crap out of me again, and stole my other wallet. Got an AR-15 with hollow points. Tool for possum removal. All right. Thank you.